Hello, greetings. Sorry I haven't made many videos lately, but I have been busting my butt for the past 4 or 5 days at PHOTOPLUS in New York City. It was extremely exciting. Actually, a lot happened. I shook more hands and hugged more people in the past 4 days than I probably have my entire life, literally. It was unbelievable how many people showed up, including an unbelievable number of people that actually said that they showed up just to see me, which I kind of in a twilight zone on that one. That's actually surprising. Sorry, it's still stunning. I just met so many people. I had the X Pro 3 for 3 days, and on the first day that it was given to me to use, a couple times the corporate person from Fujifilm that gave it, so she says, "What do you think of the camera?" I was like, "I don't know yet." She said, "What? You've been walking around with it for 6 hours, so why didn't you know?" I said, I can't literally go 5 feet without being stopped. There were 3 or 4 times there where over the span of the 4 days, well, 3 days of the convention, excuse me, where people were getting anxious. One person would stop me, and then there'd be a person lined up, and they would get slightly miffed at the person that was talking to me, like they were talking a little too long. And they wanted FaceTime and stuff with me. I found that one amazing. There was a Philadelphia police officer. He was like 8 feet tall and had dreadlocks, and he was just so cool. I mean, he could just like break a person in half, I guess. He's just the sweetest person in the world. Just incredibly sweet. I hugged him twice, and he had a XT3 around his neck. I had tons of people just say, "I'm so happy. I would never consider Fujifilm," and I saw all these people. I actually had a large number of people say the same thing. Two of the things that they said, the large number of many people, is one was, "Don't change a thing. Keep doing exactly what you're doing." And number 2 was what I've heard many times, but it was so cool to hear it in person, is that they said, "I thank you for not being a shill. I know, I can see through these other people, and I know when you recommend something, you actually mean it. You spend your own money on it. You just don't like rent it for a week and return it." And there was an enormous number of people that said that. I'm very proud to have been. I answered like tons of tech support questions, and I was hugging so many people, and I hadn't even had a couple people say, "You're not angry at all. You're nice." I was like, "Well, yeah, I know I am." One guy was there the day before, but he had lost his entry badge to get back in. And as I was leaving, I was going outside to get something to eat. And he said, "Hey, Ken," and he had a GFX 50S. He needed a sensor cleaning. So he couldn't get in. He could if he, I guess, bought another pass or whatever. Anyway, I said, "Well, I'll take it in and get it clean." Of course, he knew who I was. He bought the camera off my recommendation. But it was so strange, it was surreal, because I kind of saw a look in this guy's face. He knew who I was, obviously, from the videos, but he's passing off a super expensive baby to a person he's never met before, which is me, and I took it into the Fujifilm epicenter there for a sensor cleaning. So that was really nice. Other than Nikon giving out these baggies, those nylon baggies, like the same sort of baggies you would get like Trader Joe's, Fujifilm is the only people giving out swag. Not only were they giving out swag, they were giving out a lot of swag. There were really fancy hats, very beautifully embroidered, some of the most beautiful hats I've ever seen. Those little metal lapel pins, which I have some here, of all the Fujifilm cameras, giving out writing pins. I even had headphones. They had, oh God, USB drives that look like little cameras. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, like I said, I could not go more than 5 feet without someone stopping me. I literally hugged more people and shook more hands than the Pope on Easter Sunday. Fujifilm was absolutely swamped with people. Here's a fact. The most swamped booth, and I'm going to explain it. You're going to say, "No, it was Nikon." I'll tell you why, though, why that's wrong. Fujifilm was the most swamped booth, and I was there all day long. You know, I wasn't there as a tourist. I was in the Javits Center every single day from before it opened until after it closed. Fujifilm was the most swamped of anybody. Fujifilm was the only people giving out free rentals to roam the streets with. And lots, like XT3s, XT30s, GFX50S, GFX50Rs. I went outside to eat, and I was like, I looked down the street, and I like saw 5 people walking the streets with GFX cameras. I was like, oh yeah, those are rentals. People renting out the cameras. Like I said, tons of free swag. Oh, they were doing free sensor cleanings and cleanings. People were lined up to get their, and they had a box. Fujifilm had a box. It was really small, where the technicians were from Edison, New Jersey, doing, and it was really small. I think there was like 5 people in there that were feverishly cleaning cameras for people. It was amazing. But yeah, Fujifilm was the most swamped, but there was more people around Nikon. But the only reason that was the case is that Nikon had 5 women, you know, constantly striking a pose. They were up on podiums, you know, very beautiful women. And that's the only reason. If you actually took away the people that were taking pictures of the women, there was really nobody at Nikon booth. They were all just taking pictures of those women. So Fujifilm absolutely dominated PHOTOPLUS. It's not my opinion, it's a fact. They did dominate PHOTOPLUS. Canon had the biggest setup, but most of it was tons of chairs where they had, you know, famous photographers. They're talking about, oh, I took this picture of this, yeah, they're projecting it on the screen. Well, that was wonderful. I did not go any photo walks. I actually find photo walks extremely vomit-worthy. I do not believe photography. Actually, it's not that I believe. I know photography is not a group endeavor. You know, nothing really good or productive comes from being in groups. I do not believe in photo walks at all. 2 funny things happened that was kind of a flavor of New York City. Hey, I actually tried to get it was a big mistake. I got a little bowl of Chinese food and a soda. The bowl of Chinese food was like that, right? You know, how much would that cost? There were no prices there. I couldn't see. And then you go up to the line to check out. So a bowl of Chinese food and a soda. She said, that'll be $23. I'm like, what? What? She said, yeah. She said, well, I said, well, that's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to pay for that. She looked at me like, I guess nobody ever says that. I was like, yeah, forget about it. You keep the food. That's ridiculous. So I walked out on the street, and they had a street vendor. They all apparently sell chicken kebabs. It's like every street vendor has the same stuff, chicken kebabs and barbecue kebabs. Anyway, I got a chicken kebab on the street for like $5 or something like that. And you know, of course, I had a GFX 100, this camera, hanging around my neck. And I had an X Pro 3 hanging around my neck because, you know, I'm testing it, right? And the guy looks at me, he says, where are you from? Because I look like a tourist, right? Because I'm ordering like chicken. And I said, I'm from Florida. And he goes, stay there. One other great thing, you know how like union sort of dock workers are, you know, sort of grisly people. I was there the last day of the convention after it closed with my buddy. And all these Teamsters, or whatever the hell they are, union workers, and I hate unions, by the way. I despise unions. Socialism. They were coming out to tear everything down, the walls and everything like that. So my feet are swollen. I've been on my feet, you know, from dawn to dusk for 3 days straight. I literally was talking so much that I kept applying chapstick. It was just literally, I was enjoying myself, though. I mean, it was being so helpful. I love being helpful. Guys tearing down the thing. There's a couch there, and I'm just plopped on the couch, just completely wasted, tired. And plug your ears if you don't want to hear cuss words, okay? I'm about to cuss, okay? So those of you out there that, you know, are ultra sensitive and you can't handle a cuss word. This is what, I have no idea who the hell this guy was. He's just a Teamster union schmuck, a putz. By the way, I figured out what everybody says in New York or New Jersey. They say putz. Now they also say unbelievable. So this guy's tearing stuff down. He looks over at me. I got really good hearing. He figures I can't hear him, I guess. And these are his exact words he said. He said, look at you just sitting there, you fat fucking fuck. That's exactly what he said. Those are the exact words that he said. He says, oh, he's tearing the walls down. Look at there, you're sitting there, you fat fucking fuck. I calmly got up. I walked over to him. I didn't cuss or yell or anything. I said, listen here, son. One way to you know, I want to say piss somebody off, but, you know, talk down to them as I use the word son. He's just like a skinny white dude. He's bald. He's got the skinny version. I said, listen, boy. I called him son. I said, listen, son. I said, I don't work for this company. I'm not being paid to be here. You know, what did he figure I was going to do? I was going to start tearing down. That was his job, you know. He says, is that right? I said, yeah, that's right. And I just walked away. That was the only confrontation I had there, and it had nothing to do with photography. It was just a union, teamster, schmuck, whatever. You know. I love that guy in the street. He goes, he says, where are you from? Some Florida. I said, stay there. Oh my God. I learned how to use Uber. Me and my buddy Steve got abandoned on 47th Street in Times Square. And it was the only second time I've done it, so I called an Uber. Man, Uber is really cheap. I had no idea Uber was that cheap. Nobody down here in the South uses an Uber. Maybe somebody in Miami or something like that, but nobody uses an Uber. It's like, why would I ever use an Uber? So I'd never used Uber before. But it was fun. It was insanely exhausting, but it was incredibly fun. Well, I and my buddy went out to eat every night and at a really fancy restaurant, and which I never eat out, much less at a fancy restaurant, and that was ultra cool. But I hugged and met so many people. It was absolutely off the hook, incredible. Man, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I literally could not walk 5 feet. The most amazing thing that happened to me is I asked to pass out some swag. I was there inside before the actual center opened. And there was just a line of like hundreds and hundreds of people to get in that's curving around the Javits Center. Yeah, this is what I did, and this was awesome. It was like I was the tattooed bald Santa Claus. I took all these, a huge stack, and I found the Fuji people in the lines, you know. A huge stack of these embroidered hats, the most beautiful, fancy embroidered, not like regular hats, the fancy kind that look really expensive, just beautiful embroidery. And I went out to the line, and I was looking at everybody with a Fujifilm camera, and I gave him a hat. Everybody was like peeking out of the line. Oh my God, it was so much fun. And then I ran out of hats, and then the people in the back are like, oh man, what about me? And so I had to rush back in before the line started moving because it was about 7 minutes before the PHOTOPLUS was about to open. I got another giant stack of hats, and I went out to where I stopped and ran out of hats. And I found I wasn't giving it just to anybody. I was giving it to other people that had Fujifilm cameras. I was passing those hats out. It was so much fun. Oh man, that was so enjoyable. That was actually the best time. I wasn't there as a tourist, and there was 1,000 things I would have loved to have seen in New York. I at least got to see Times Square, but the important thing is I got to meet all those people, and I hugged a lot of people. Yeah, it was awesome. It really was. It was so cool. Anyway, I will shut up. There's a few people that wanted me to do a wrap-up on what happened at PHOTOPLUS, and that was it. That was very cool. I was staying in East New Jersey in Edgewater. And me and my buddy, we'd take a car down to the ferry place where you park. And then we'd take a ferry across from Edgewater to the Javits Center. Basically the Javits Center. And then we walk a block or so up to the Javits Center. So that was my experience over the past 4 days. So that's why I've not been making videos really over the past 4 days. So thank you so much for watching. And thanks to everybody that showed up. And it was really super cool. Thank you. Bye.